So it's all about trying to use your feed information, your feed milling data, to maximize genetic potential, to maximize the genetic potential of the birds. And that's really what it's all about. And we can put that stuff together so that we can map what feed is doing better, what feed is not doing so well. If we make slight changes to that feed recipe, we could maybe improve things. Or, it's all about monitoring that data as you see the physical data come together with your feed milling information.
Welcome everyone, this is MTech's Accelerate. My name is Nikolai Shetikhin and I have Danny Rotherham with us.
Hi Nick.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm all good, mate, and you?
Not too bad. Today we're at the beautiful English countryside surrounded by big farms and fields. But something that we want to talk about today is feed milling.
Absolutely. We can't underestimate the importance of feed milling and our feed ingredients for our livestock whenever we're thinking about what we at MTech do as far as an integrated process is concerned. We really cannot underestimate the value of having that traceability of all of our individual raw materials, whether they be micro or macro raw materials coming into our mills, and then using our planning software to determine that we have actually got sufficient quantities of those raw materials that meets the needs and the requirements of our businesses. It's so important.
Yeah, so let's break it down
Okay.
in segments, right? And start with the place of feed mill in the supply chain, right? Because feed mill usually sits a little bit aside because it follows more or less standard production and performance protocol, right? Where we have ingredients, we put them together and push them through the mill
and create feed. Yeah, well, like you say, feed mills are nearly separate from most integrated businesses because they can sometimes be a business within themselves because they may supply feed to external farms, not just the integrator. So it's really, really important that the feed mill be given its place. So if we just, like you say, break it down, think about what actually goes on in a feed mill. It is the ability to take quality raw material ingredients in at one end of the plant, putting them together using probably milling software, because we at MTech, we don't actually manufacture the feed, but we provide that traceability through raw material receivings. We can do assays on the quality of those raw material ingredients that are coming in, so we can take care of the bonuses and penalties if there is any depending on the quality of the goods coming in. So we can take care of all of those things, and then whenever we get that information all together, we share that with the milling software, and then we get the information back from the milling software whenever they have put the recipes together or the feed formulas together for that finished feed to go out to the farms.
So it's quite a lot of integration we're talking about, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
Is that usually automated, or users should be always clicking a button?
No. We would always try to automate as much as we possibly can to minimize the admin required around a feed milling enterprise. So yeah, we can automate a lot of that. We can actually take the feed formulas and we can upload them into MTech so that the system knows the nutritional makeup of each of the individual finished feeds. So that means that this is the plan. So this is what we want to use to create that feed. So taking into account our proteins and our energies and all the rest of it, all of our sort of like premixes and stuff. So we can upload that at the back end so that we have, this is the plan. And then we can have the actual, this is what we actually used, but we get that back from the milling software to say, this is what we actually used to make up that batch of feed, whether it be a 3-ton batch, 5-ton batch, whatever. And we can put that together and say, okay, then these batches become a load. Okay. And then again, we can get that traceability back out on the farms.
Right. So, and this is where also shrink or swell coming out.
Yeah. Because look, feed mills are huge places. They've got massive storage bins. Not the easiest thing in the world to determine exactly to the kilo what volume of product you've got. You've always got a little bit of wastage. So yeah, monitoring and the ability to monitor your shrink and swell on a weekly basis if you're running period end through your feed mill is critical to a business, because that's going to determine your true cost of feed going out the door.
Right. And you also mentioned that feed mills are usually a little bit separated from the business, right? They could be the business on their own. Does that possess any risk in terms of getting the data into silos, like feed milling information? Usually, like you said, there could be feed milling software or equipment and all that stuff. And again, it's a little bit separated from the live ops process.
Correct.
So how the data integrates between this process and bird process?
It's simply this, for growing birds, we know that we're going to take at least 1.5 to 2 kilos to get that. You're depending on your FCR and the makeup of your feed. The data then can be linked together because we've got that traceability against every delivery, every farm, every shed, every bin, and we know then that we can put our physical KPIs together with our feed information to determine, right, okay, this feed version or this farm has used the correct amount of starter, grower, finisher, and they've got the best results. So it's all about trying to use your feed information, your feed milling data, to maximize genetic potential, to maximize the genetic potential of the birds, and that's really what it's all about. And we can put that stuff together so that we can map what feed is doing better, what feed is not doing so well. If we make slight changes to that feed recipe, we could maybe improve things. Or, it's all about monitoring that data as you see the physical data come together with your feed milling information.
So, and if we don't do that, because I know that there are some companies that still have silos of information and they don't have full integration between feed mill, between hatcheries, and what are the risks of not getting that straightened out?
Well, if you don't look at your physical information alongside your feed milling information, you run the risk of letting things move on to a point where you're minimizing growth, you're affecting the body weights that are going to be going into the factory. That has a massive impact, a financial impact on most businesses. So having a process and a system that allows you to very quickly and easily see all of those data points together, it's critical for a business, any modern business today.
Yeah, I think that's very important to have that link and to measure efficiency.
Correct.
Not only numerical but also financial.
Absolutely. And if you're wanting to talk about efficiencies, you think about our FDSA, our feed delivery scheduling assistant that we have inside MTech Systems. That really drives to make sure that all sheds, all birds get the right amount of starter, grower, finisher. Like I say, maximise that genetic potential. But what it also does then, it means then that you're not, we're avoiding runouts because the system will send you an alert to say that you've got 2 days feed left, 3 days feed left, and you're not over delivering because that's another additional cost that businesses don't need to be, waiting on to find out. Oh God, we've still got 20 ton of feed on that farm. They don't need that. So maximising the right amount of feed to the right birds at the right time is critical for the business, and that's what FDSA can do.
Cool. So there are several main places where people or companies can lose money. They over deliver and then they will have to haul that feed back.
Absolutely.
And maybe they not following the feeding program where they start using quite a lot of pre-starter or starter feed, which then feed conversion is good, but then the price
cost is more.
Yeah, and then also, of course, traceability to know what exactly went where to each bin and to what birds.
And I think that's again a very underestimated part of what MTech Systems can actually do is that traceability gives confidence in the supply chain that what raw materials have went into that batch, that load. You can stand over everything because you've got that traceability from the day and hour that it was ordered or received by a purchase order, your ingredients receiving, and when it was stored, where it was stored, how long it was stored for, what the usages were. All of that is there for the business to actually have access to that data so that they can complete that traceability. And like I say, it's confidence in your supply chain.
Yeah, and that's very important. So let's talk about ingredients and production, manufacturing, all that process. And I know that it should be planned in advance, right? And there's two main components there, right? So you need to balance between your raw material ordering, and then you also need to balance your production capacities and then what you need to actually deliver to what farms. So how that happens?
So basically then it's almost like an MRP solution. Yeah. So you can build inside the solution, you can build, right, okay, this is my demand, this is my profile of what my birds eat, here's the volume of birds that I will be producing over the next 6, 12, 18 months. And then you can balance that off with then what your order book has got. So your purchase order, your contract purchase orders, you can say, right, okay, this is what we have pre-bought. This is what we still have to buy. So it allows and gives the user visibility very quickly of where is the balance, where is the right, the sweet spot of ensuring that, we have all of our macro ingredients. We have our wheats and our barleys and all the rest of it, and we have our micros and our premixes. So we can balance that off very quickly inside the MRP suite to determine exactly the right amount of volume of goods and products coming into the feed mill to ensure that we satisfy those requirements.
Yeah, and I guess this brings me to the next question. If we plan all those ingredients and plan all this production, we need to have this long-term demand, because many of the ingredients are ordered way in advance, especially in some countries that will need to import.
Correct.
So I guess this, having an integrated system helps to get all the pieces together, like long-term forecast for the birds.
Correct.
That we bring in, and then we project against it in order to specify what will be the ingredient demand.
Absolutely, and that's key. It is having that what-if scenario, that the ability to run the what-ifs. What if we don't get that load of weight, or what if we don't get our micro ingredients, if they don't arrive from God knows where, if they're all probably on a boat, if they're being imported. So it's that what-if scenario. Where do we go next? What can we do? It allows us to give the visibility to the business of, we're short, we're long, and it allows them then to manage that. So, if they're long, they may be able to offload and sell some of the raw material ingredients that they have for, future bought. So having that ability to manage the stocks and having the ability to, sell product if you need to, or go and get some short-term purchases if you're short. It's all about having the information there to allow the businesses to make the best decisions for themselves that is going to maximize profitability, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I guess you're absolutely right there, that running scenarios and giving information and decision-making tools for the business is essential. And if we're talking about that again, I'll come back to the integrated processes within the supply chain. So we have the plant placements, for example, for a long term.
You can.
And we have different scenarios on how to do that. And I just kind of trying to go back to those risks that we get. Like, what if we don't have enough feed, or we don't have enough birds, or we don't have enough square footage or barn areas? So how businesses are dealing with this, and in terms of communication, because it's always like those little barriers between departments. How does system help to remove those barriers?
The system can remove those barriers simply by having a planning team that is an integrated planning team, because you can't just have feed mill planning without having your live operations planning, because Live Ops will put their planned placements onto the MTech solution well into the future, perhaps 6, 8, 10 months into the future. That's fine. The feed mill get visibility of those plans. The feed mill knows that these birds are going to be placed on which farms, when, all the rest of it, how many birds, and that allows them to start really building their schedule of work, if you want, for when they need to have their starter, their grower, their finisher. And that then all helps, because it is all in one place. And it's just about then everybody doing their job and looking at, right, okay, here's my planned placements, here's my demand, here's the volumes that I require, this is what we have, right? Is there, have I got the sufficient amount of raw material ingredients or not? Right, okay. If not, get onto the feed buyers. We need to buy more, we need to get more weight, we need to get more whatever. And it's all about having visibility in one place. And that's what's key about MTech Systems, having it all in one place to make the best business decisions to ensure that you've got the requirements of the business is being met, and it also can help identify opportunities for perhaps additional sales if the volumes are down or whatever.
Yeah, perfect. And I guess to summarize all this, I'll ask my final question here. So, knowing that how much pressure the industry now gets from the prices, from supply chain disturbances and everything like that, how do you think technology will be able to help and stimulate the industry, especially in the feed milling area, for the future?
Well, it's like you say, having that visibility of what your demand is and what your current stocks are and what you have already future purchased, and then knowing that you have a shortfall of X, but you know that that shortfall is going to have to be made up with like you say, a short-term purchase, which you know is going to be more expensive, but you can then put that into the mix so that you know before you've even manufactured the feed how much this is going to impact on your tonnage cost. So it's all about not having surprises. Businesses don't like surprises. So when they can see it, when they can actually visualize, right, okay, I know that from next month my starter ration is going to be £8 a tonne more expensive. That's not a surprise, that's just a fact. That's just what they have to do to ensure the birds are fed, welfare, all the rest of it. So they have to accept it, but it's not a surprise. It's whenever they get a shock to the system, that's whenever the businesses go, oh, hold on, I wasn't aware that my feed was going to be this much this month.
Yeah, and yeah, thanks again, Danny, for joining on this episode. I know you will be featured in another one very soon where we talk about the supply chain planning and implementation of the system to the big businesses. Yeah. But it was great, talking to you, and thank you for sharing all your knowledge within the industry. And for those who don't want to miss new episodes, please follow us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on X. And also, please smash that like button. And again, Danny, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
See you in the next episode.
See you next episode.
Ciao.